this is a hard fight, and we need a big group. And we'll do everything we can. We're going to be out around the country the next while. I'm afraid it's very nice to see my wife, Sue Hopper, here tonight, because I'm afraid after tomorrow I'm not going to see her again until Thanksgiving. We're going to be out around all over the country. We're going to need you to be doing lots of work here, and we know you can, but we will make sure to be helping with every kind of material, and every kind of, well, most importantly, with coordination. As you get these fights going in the community and on campuses, we'll have a success. We'll make sure everyone knows about it across the country in hours, and if someday you have to go to jail, we'll make sure everybody knows about that too. No one is going to be left on their own. That's what movements mean. That's why we're thinking hard tonight about our friends down in Texas who are blockading the southern leg. With now, back when I was in my 20s, I had no idea that I would end up spending my life volunteering in this work. My theory of change when I was 25 or 26 was people will read my book and then they will change. But that's really not how it works. Change only comes when we stand up for it. They have all the money, so we're going to have to find those other currencies to work in, the currencies of movement, passion, spirit, creativity. Sometimes we have to spend our bodies. I did not think I'd have to go to jail, and it wasn't much fun, but you know what? It wasn't the end of the world. The end of the world is the end of the world, and that's what we're here about tonight. I'm going to end by talking about that jailhouse for a moment, because it'll obviously make a big impression on me. And the first of two things that I want to say is aimed especially at the younger people here, those who've been the leaders of this movement, appropriately so, since you'll have to be living on this planet for the next 60 years. But you are not alone in this fight. When Naomi and I and a few friends sent out the letter asking people to come to Washington for that civil disobedience, one of the things we said was that young people should not have to be the sole cannon fodder in this fight. And I want you to think about that too here in Burlington, in Vermont. In some ways, it's easier for older people to buck the system. One of the few really good things about growing older is that past a certain point, what the hell are they going to do? And by the way, this holds doubly true if you happen to have tenure, okay? That's what tenure is for. Anyway, that message got out. I was really happy as people began to arrive in Washington to see that a lot of them had hairlines like mine, you know. We did not ask people how old are you when they got arrested, because that would be rude. But cleverly, we did say, who was president when you were born? And the two biggest cohorts came from the FDR and the Truman administrations. On the last day, there was a guy arrested with a sign around his neck that said, World War II vet handled with care. He had been born in the Warren G. Harding administration, an administration so long ago that I frankly had forgotten there was a Warren G. Harding administration. I know that young people are going to lead this next phase, just as they've led so much of this movement from the start, but I want you guys to know at UVM, Middlebury, and St. Mike's, and Champlain, and Burlington, and Bennington, and Marlboro, at all the state colleges, and all the community colleges, and every place else around the state. I want you all to know that your elders are stepping up. Did I forget Sterling? There are Green Mountain, absolutely, a true leader in this work. I want you to know your elders are stepping up. There are people in this room who had really neat first acts of their lives, and they changed our culture in the 1960s. Then maybe for some, their second act was a tiny bit more self-absorbed. Maybe they became consumers more than citizens for a while. But a lot of them are determined to prove that the third act will be the best of all. Like I say, nothing to lose. The other odd thing about those protests was that we asked people to show up in dresses or neckties. Not, as you can tell, because it's my usual costume. I live in Ripton. But because I wanted to make an important visual point, and that is that there is nothing radical about what we're asking for. All we're asking for is a planet that works a little like the one we were born onto, which, if you think about it, is a fairly conservative demand. Radicals work at all companies. If you are willing to get up in the morning and amass a fortune by altering the chemical composition of the atmosphere, then you're engaged in an act more radical than any human being before you. And if you're willing to profit from that act, then you're doing something pretty radical as well. We have to try and beat back this radicalism before it totally, finally overwhelms the earth and everything good upon it. I don't know if we can. The science is dark, the power on the other side is enormous, but I know that we are going to try, and by we, I mean people all over the world. I've spent the last half-decade circling the planet as we organize 50.org, as we build the movement for that hopeful number that will cancel out those three desperate numbers we talked about tonight. And so I know beyond any shadow of doubt that all over the globe, especially in those places that have done nothing to cause this crisis, there are people willing and eager to join in the fight, shoulder to shoulder with us. It is a great honor always to be in those rooms, but it is the greatest of honors for me to get to be in this room tonight, because I know what so many of you have done for so long, and I know that you will do even more in the year ahead. I don't know if we're going to win, but I'm certain we're going to fight. And as I look around at all of you, I kind of like our odds. Thank you guys very much.